Welcome to Lindamood-Bell Radio. I'm Dave Hungerford for Lindamood-Bell. Are you concerned about your child's literacy skills or academic performance? Lindamood-Bell instruction in reading, comprehension, and math helps students of all ages catch up or get ahead. In just weeks, students make extraordinary progress, making them more confident and prepared for school. Our evidence-based instruction is available both online and in person. Learn more and get started today at lindamoodbell.com or call us at 800-233-1819. Today's episode is the first webinar in a series called From Our Families to Yours, Parent Insights on Reading Instruction at Lindamood-Bell. I met with Jody Brown, Lindamood-Bell's Executive Director of Instruction, and we talked about her son's experience going through instruction at Lindamood-Bell. Here it is. Good morning. Welcome to our webinar today, From Our Families to Yours, Parent Insight on Reading Instruction at Lindamood-Bell. I'm Dave Hungerford. I'm our Director of Visual Media. I'm also the host of our podcast, Lindamood-Bell Radio. And I'm here with my longtime colleague and friend, Jody Brown, who's Lindamood-Bell's Director of Instruction. Today, we're going to talk about her own personal experience with her son, Drew, and his instruction at Lindamood-Bell. But welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. But first, let's take a quick break, watch a little video segment of Drew and get to know him a little bit.
The fish. Dad is here. To Lindamood-Bell! Is James Henry Trotter when he was about 4 years old. Up until this time, he had a happy life, living peaceful with his mother and father, and a beautiful house beside the sea.
Drew, what kind of kid is he?
He's adorable in that video. He is clever and funny and curious and very, very active. He will climb anything that is around, even if it doesn't look like you can climb it. He's smart and kind and just so much fun to be around.
Tell us a little bit about his educational journey. What was that like?
He went to a typical preschool, play-based. They learned letters. Then he started kindergarten at our local public school. We have an amazing school and small classes. In first grade, he had 12 kids in his class, mostly boys. And he had just your very typical school journey. And he's in second grade this year. He's finishing this week. And he loves going to school for the most part. And
you noticed something about his progression in reading, which you are intimately aware of how that works for most students as
Yes.
Director of Instruction. What was that like for him?
Well, I had to early on try and tell myself, you're not at work, don't analyze everything with his reading. Starting at a very young age, I was doing that. And I was always telling myself, it's going to come along. He's going to develop. He's young. And he started off probably about the middle of the road in kindergarten. And I didn't really notice anything. And the school wasn't saying anything. And then in first grade, I started watching it more because now they were really teaching how to read. And he would make little jumps in his reading, but he was always behind and he wasn't really reading on the page. And then they started pulling him into some smaller groups. And I wasn't quite sure if they were concerned, if I was, because he was still so young. And then second grade happened.
Did he have a sense of his lagging at all? Was he like feeling slower than his friends, or was he kind of not aware of that?
No, he wasn't in first grade. And in second grade, he started to complain about reading at home. The school did such an amazing job of never having him feel different, and the way that they do resource and they break the kids into small reading groups because it is a small school. He had no clue that he was in the lowest reading group. And in fact, I didn't actually for the first couple of months either, because he's my source of what's happening at school, which is not very helpful.
Maybe not always quite as accurate as
no, he played kickball. That's what I get.
And so he was starting to not notice it at first. Then you said something second grade came about. What happened?
Yeah, it was more at home. So the reading requirements for homework increased. We've read to him his whole life, every night, and he loves books. And I could see he had strong comprehension and good critical thinking. And then when we started transitioning into now it's your time to read, that's when the tears started, and that's when the pushback. And he is a master negotiator, and I would hold firm most of the time, but sometimes it was just not a battle I wanted to pick because I knew he didn't have the tools he needed to read what he was supposed to be reading.
Were the tears his or yours?
His when we were together, mine when I wasn't around him.
And so you must have done some things to help at home along the way.
I tried. I kind of know what to do to help kids with reading. And at one point, our fireplace was covered in sight words. And anytime we walked by, I'd point to 5 of them and I'd have him air write. And I was just trying things here or there. I tried last summer. I had these grand ideas of us after 7 hours of camp that we would then work on some reading, and that didn't really happen because he didn't want to work with me. He hated it. He wanted to play with me. He wanted to go play soccer outside, and he wanted me to snuggle and read to him. He didn't want me to have him write in the air in picture letters.
And for Lindamood-Bell, as director of instruction, maybe you can explain a little what you do.
Sure. As the director of instruction, I oversee instruction in our learning centers and for school partnerships, and look to ensure we're providing quality instruction in our programs, that we are diagnosing our students, pacing our students, and responding to the response to really differentiate for each student's needs.
And yet, having all that, and you've done it for several decades now, you still couldn't work with him?
No, as much as I tried, I was thinking I'm going to give him the best instruction ever. And he didn't want it.
Many of us have tried, and we've talked to other colleagues that try to do our programs at home. And sometimes the personal dynamic gets in the way of what we know as the steps of the program.
Yeah, one day he said to me, I just want you to be my mommy. I don't want you to be my teacher. And I was like, oh, gosh.
Well, let's watch a short clip of him at about that time.
All this fresh air and experience.
Ooh, I like that X. That's going to say exercise.
Exercise.
Oh, sorry.
So what do we see there? See him getting frustrated a little bit.
Yeah, I shut the camera off so you didn't see the meltdown. Yeah.
So was there one particular tipping point that made you say, okay, it's time to get him in?
We were a couple months into school for second grade, and every few nights I would just say to my husband, what am I doing? Why are we not just doing Lindamood-Bell? Why am I waiting to see if this clicks and it happens? I know what can help him. That video is a perfect example. He's trying to read a multi-syllable word, but he had no tools or skills to be able to do it. I would watch him. He didn't know how to attack words. He didn't have symbol imagery to back up multi-syllable words, and the reading was getting harder and harder with second grade continuing through the year. And I just was at night, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, like, why am I not just figuring out how to make this work with sports and my job and my husband's job and life?
Now, you mentioned symbol imagery. I'm going to come back to that in a bit, but tell me, when you took him into the office or however it was delivered, the first thing we always do is have a thorough assessment, evaluation. Walk us through that process, if you would.
We had Drew assessed in in the fall. He did an online assessment with one of our testers, and then we had the results within a couple of days, and they basically confirmed everything that I suspected, where he was struggling. He had weaknesses in symbol imagery, phoneme awareness. His word recognition was okay, but he did not know how to attack a word, and his fluency, he was just a very beginning reader.
So, and comprehension was
solid.
Solid. Mm-hmm. So explain to us what exactly symbol imagery and phonemic awareness are. What are those two functions?
Sure. Symbol imagery is that ability to image the sounds and letters in a word, and then phonemic awareness is the ability to auditorily perceive the sounds and letters in a word for word attack and also word recognition. He could sound out a 3-sound word, but if there were more than 3 letters, it got so jumbled up. And there's no way he could do multi-syllable words. His word recognition and his symbol imagery, when he was tending to the task, he could do it at a very basic level. But I knew that we needed to bring that imagery to consciousness and then start applying it to high frequency words and reading in context.
And the difference between a word attack skill versus word recognition. Word attack is your ability to sound out words. And I know the tests actually have even nonsense words, but they all play fair. And word recognition is your brain's ability to hold words. And as we know, many spellings in English are not consistent, to say the least. And so you kind of need both of those skills in order to decode. Is that still
right
accurate?
He couldn't even, if he didn't know the word by sight, he couldn't even try and sound it out if it was more than 3 letters. And ultimately, you don't want that to happen anyhow. You want him to just be able to recognize words. And
so you got the assessment. Nobody had to sit you down with a consultation, explain to you what the test results mean, did they?
No, normally we would meet with a parent and go through and present it all, but we didn't do that.
We didn't do that. You're familiar with the test a little
bit.
Okay. Yes. And so you started instruction then. What program did you use and how was it delivered?
So he did Seeing Stars. He started that. We started the week of Thanksgiving. He didn't have school, so he did 4 hours a day online. And he had a different teacher each hour, and he did so much better than I thought he was going to. Even though I've seen thousands of kids do online instruction and find so much success, I just was thinking, what is he going to climb? How is he going to do this? And he surprised me in so many ways. And then after that intensive week, then he did an hour a day after school until winter break. And then he did 2 weeks of 20-hour weeks, 4 hours a day.
So pretty intensive stuff.
Mostly online, but we did do 1 week in person.
Great. We've got another clip, a short one of him getting some instruction. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
C-A-C-K-S.
Beautiful. What's that going to say? Skax. Good. Nice job on the X part. That's perfect. What was the first letter you saw in Skax?
Skax.
First letter.
Skax. Oh, C.
C. Totally. What sound does C make?
Cax.
Good. Nice fix, dude. Totally Cax. Well done. Oh my goodness. I'm almost out of stones here. I only got a couple left.
Let's see, he's also got the snack component going as he's learning. After school, you got to do it.
Yes.
When you watch that, what do you see as a professional?
I see him struggling and with his imagery, but I see him using his imagery because of the questioning that our amazing clinicians were doing with him. You could see him looking up to access that imagery to help him figure out how to fix the error that he made. And I see him nowhere near being independent, but he's getting the right sort of stimulation. It's hard. It was watching that it was only 6 months ago, and it's shocking how far he's come since then. I don't see him do those things at all anymore.
How does that make you feel when you see that sort of initial struggling?
I just feel excited that we fixed it so fast. I am so grateful that um, we had him work with such great instructors that were so positive. He loved them. I told them today that I was going to see a few of them, and he got jealous. And I just feel grateful, and I look at that thinking, should I have done it sooner? I don't know. I'm just glad I did it, and it's fixed.
Because we've seen parents and individuals as adults and people that don't get it fixed for a long time, and the behavior components tend
Yeah, the
to
frustration grows, the fear of failure. He was starting to have all those things I've seen with fourth and fifth and sixth graders and high schoolers, and that gap grows so much. And so the time needed, we spent 60 hours doing Seeing Stars with Drew. And we started in the end of November and finished in the beginning of January. It was short time period. And if we would have waited a couple of years, he would have needed more instruction than that, which is fine. We would have fixed it then, but I'm glad we were able to prevent some of the struggles and strife that were going to come.
And all of the instruction was online. Is that right? Online?
No, not all, but 20 hours. We went down to San Diego.
Oh.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are nervous about online instruction. We've been doing it pre-COVID.
Yep.
We've had a lot of success with people in it. Why do you think, say, versus like a classroom, my son had college classes online that weren't very effective. What's the difference between what we do and some of that asynchronous and other online instructions?
I don't really think online is any different for us than it is in person. You're doing it over a computer, and you are having one-on-one instruction. We're responding to the student's response. We're differentiating their needs in the moment. We have all of these pieces in place for support, from the clinician who's teaching the instruction, like you saw there, to the consultants and the associate center director, my department of instruction, ensuring that the students are getting the best instruction. And it's not passive learning. You are expecting them to engage the entire time, and our positive interactions and lesson energy really make a difference.
Did he have some challenges along the way that you noticed in instruction? No,
he didn't actually. He never complained about going. He sometimes he'd be like, oh, do I have to? Can I have a snack? And he'd negotiate with me for some sort of snack. And no, he was excited to do it. I mean, it wasn't the same as if I took him to a Giants game or something, but he didn't freak out about it. And in fact, when we were in San Diego, we were there with family and his best friend. And as we were driving for him to go do 4 hours of intensive one-on-one instruction, I was thinking, what did I do? He's probably so jealous and upset that he's not hanging out with his cousin, but it never fazed him because he looked forward to all of the positive interactions.
So he must have been feeling it as well, that he was
for
making
sure
progress.
And in fact, the other day he told me he doesn't want to be a third grader. And I said, why? And he said, because you have to do division in math. And I said, well, Lindamood-Bell has a math program. And he said, can I do it this summer? He literally asked to do math this summer. Wow. So, yeah.
We have another little short clip of a little further down the road in instruction. Let's take a quick look at that.
Understand. That's fast. There we go. This one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Contain.
Nice, dude. You're flying through these. Here we go.
Correct.
Awesome.
Course.
Nice.
Surface.
Nice.
Carefully.
Oh my goodness.
Machine.
Nice.
Melt.
Oh, dude.
Fly.
Oh,
Ran.
jeez. Okay.
Drive.
Oh my goodness.
Finally. Noun. English.
Dude, I can't even keep up.
Noun.
So what are you seeing there? A little Energetic session.
I mean, we need to get a Fitbit on him. He is running in place, reading those words so fast.
Get your steps and your sight words in at the same time.
It's so funny.
So you've literally been here 2 decades. You've seen incredible gains with probably thousands of students. How does what he did fit in, and how does that make you feel, like, kind of as a parent and a professional all in one? How did his gains compare?
I mean, they're what I expected. I've seen it so many times. I've sat across hundreds of families as they've told me about their child's struggles, and I know what the solutions are, and I present them, and then we have great instruction, and parents are in shock of how their child isn't saying they don't want to go the next day, or after a 4-hour assessment, asking, when do I get to go back? And I experienced so many things that I've heard parents say over the years where I would have the thought, like, yeah, it is so prevalent. What we're doing is very powerful.
And so we've got third grade coming up, a little bit of a change in curriculum, perhaps. What do you see him fitting in and being successful this year?
I think he's going to do great. Yeah, except for that division thing. No, he'll be fine. And if not, we know where to go. He's excited that second year is coming to a close, but also sad that it is, because he really loves school. He loves learning. He loves his teacher. He loves, we're fortunate that he likes it. Yes, there's days he doesn't want to go, but that's usually a Monday, and I get that. And he is just going to soar now that he can read. It's pretty amazing.
And so what would you say to parents that may be watching that? What should they look for and say, like, this is the point where we got to at least come in and get an assessment, get evaluated,
right?
See what's going on.
I mean, as soon as you start seeing that your child's struggling, or someone you know is, go get an assessment, find out what's happening and what the solutions are. The sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to fix it, and they're going to get to find the joy of learning. And there's nothing better than getting lost in a book and having that story just take over. And we have programs that help if you're struggling with fluency, or if someone's struggling with comprehension and critical thinking. And it's just pretty powerful what we get to do with imagery.
Yeah. What would you say makes those programs unique? What's different than the services you're going to get in school that might be in small groups, or they might put aside a little bit of time? What's going to make us unique?
Well, we're hitting it at the sensory level, first of all. So we're really, depending on the program, we're going to develop imagery, either symbol imagery or concept imagery. That's the most prevalent for sure. And then it's one-on-one, or we can do small group and still see the same gains. And it's very differentiated. So it's not a scope and sequence of this week you're going to do this week you're going to do this. We're going to respond to what the student needs, and we're going to diagnose and differentiate.
You're not sitting down saying, here, finish this worksheet and get it done.
Right. It is a give and take. It's very Socratic, and it is helping them come to a point of being automatic with their imagery, whether it is listening to a lecture in school or reading a textbook about the Civil War, whatever it might be. Our goal is for independence.
Great. Well, let's look at one last clip of Drew post-instruction.
And when they got to the top of the hill, they counted themselves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. Now where in the world is that Pokey? Viking jumps into his super mega robot time machine. Now that I know how you got your superpowers, I can go back in time and stop it from happening.
Well, I want to thank you again for sharing. I love the robot voice in there. That's a great.
It's fluency. He doesn't have to think about what he's reading. He can read in any accent, creepy voice, robot.
Robot voice has got it all.
Fluency. It's amazing.
Well, thank you both for sharing your story. I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Now, Our hope is that this resonates. Parents find something in their child, and that there's hope, and it's a common, curable, fixable issue, that learning to read and comprehend. And I would encourage you to, if you want to see more stories or get more information, again, the chat lines are open. Lindamood-Bell.com is our website, and we have a podcast, Lindamood-Bell Radio, that's available. Thank you much, Jody.
Thank you, Dave.
Drew.
This was fun.
And thank you for listening. You can reach us at our website, Lindamood-Bell.com, or call us at 800-233-1819. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. We are Lindamood-Bell.